Greetings to you all. Welcome to Creative Writers. Pen Crowns Vision. Creative Writers Award. Ivory Eagle 2023. A festival that honors dazzling stars. Creative Writers. On 21st May 2023. Venue John Dewey Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Panruti. It's a very proud privilege to tell that 40 members have published their own books and also an anthology. A bouquet of colorful emotions was also released on that precious day. 68 members were honored with Ivory Eagle 2023 award. Hearty congratulations to all the members. Kudos to all. Cheer up. In the forthcoming days, we'll expect more members. And this is the 4th birthday anniversary. Hearty thanks to all the sponsors and all the writers. Ivory Eagle 2023. Here comes the authors of Creative Writers. Books released in the function. Mrs. S. Sumathi, M.A. B.Ed. The name of the book is Oasis, The Poetic Flow. And the next book is Slam Book, Appraisals from Well-Wishers. Congratulations, Mrs. Sumathi. This book of 100 poems written on a variety of topics is surely an oasis of verses. As the title of the book Oasis, the flow of verses in the poems gives the readers more confidence and it induces the love of the readers for the language. The author is sure that this will be a grand feast to the members. And next book, Slam Book, Appraisals from Well-Wishers. This is a book of appraisals about herself from her well-wishers, supporters and friends with tons of love and wishes and blessings. Mrs. S. Sumathi is hailing from Tanjore district. She has the degrees of MA English and B.Ed. She had worked in Bharani Park Metric Higher Secondary School, Karur for 8 years and has been working in Sri KGHS's Aduturai, Tanjavur district, a government-aided school since 2012. Her passion is teaching. Many students were inspired by her motivating words. Her goal is to get Dr. Radhakrishnan's The Best Teacher Award. She is a budding short story writer too. One of her short stories was published in Sparkles of Short Stories, a book by TNSB teachers, and Split Fire Soul. She started writing poems only by the month of June 2020 during the lockdown period in the great group of wonderful writers, creative writers. She has written more than 800 poems on various topics. Congratulations, Mrs. Sumathi. Glad to have you in the Creative Writers group. Next, moving on to Mrs. Brinda. Leaves of Pulsating Moments. Emotions of an Innocent Soul. D. Brinda. Leaves of Pulsating Moments contains 100 poems on various topics. Some of them are published in Creative Writers. Most of them have followed a good rhyming scheme. It will surely motivate, inspire the readers. All the poems are simple and easy to understand. Brinda is a graduate teacher serving in Government High School, Melpattampakam. Her husband is behind her success. She has composed more than 1,000 poems, published 5 books, and she has edited a few books. She has published in many anthologies, magazines, journals, and newspapers. She has participated in poetry competitions, and her aim is to bring out many more writers, authors, and many readers. She has her own YouTube education channel where she has posted more than 3,000 videos. All the best, Mrs. Brinda. Our next author is Mrs. Gandhimati. Her book name is Splash. Splash is a poetry book, contains 100 poems. It all starts with a philosophical note, and this deep philosophy runs throughout the book. Most of her poems have followed good rhyming scheme and rhyming words. And her next book is Thrown Back. Mrs. R. Gandhimati is a teacher and a poet. She is a nature lover. She has worked and co-authored for 5 anthologies. Priyamanatholi, Friend Who Stole My Heart, My Best Teacher, Vintage 90s, Bouquet of Emotions. She has published 2 books, Thrown Back and Splash. All the best, Mrs. R. Gandhimati. Our next author is Mrs. S. Yamini Priya. The name of her book is Stream of Thoughts. The book Stream of Thoughts is an anthology of 100 poems. The poems explicitly the intense thought of the poet. The reader can be engrossed in the spontaneous overflow of thoughts and emotions. The book has high spirits of thoughts, though simple poems. The content of the poem enlightens the title. The readers can chillax and also stay effervescent with the book. The book has captivating illustrations, which certainly describes the title and gives varied experiences to the readers. Mrs. S. Yamini Priya lives in Coimbatore. She started her professional career as a teacher in 2001. She is pious, dedicated, and motivated, and works with high spirit. She loves her teaching profession. She puts her heart and soul into the overall development of the children. She is a great inspiration for her children and makes her children feel like English is an easy cake. She helps children to take part in extracurricular activities. So nice to hear Mrs. Yamini Priya. Congratulations. Our next author is Mrs. V.T. Kavitha, and the name of her book is Kavi's Amour, Love Lyrics. And I'm proud to tell that this cover page is designed by Mrs. Brinda. Love is perceived in different dimensions. All the poems are matured. Mrs. Kavitha is an efficient, sincere, honest, energetic, and dedicated teacher. Kids love her so much. She is ever surrounded by kids. Her love is amazing. While reading some of her poems, we feel like crying because they are touching and melting our heart. Mrs. V.T. Kavitha is one of the English teachers in Dharmapuri district. She is very kind and affectionate in nature. A talented, efficient teacher of English. She received the Teachers' Day memento from Jamaat Islamic Hind Dharmapuri branch. Thannalam Atra Asriyar Award from Tamil Nadu Ariviyal Iyakam in 2019. She submitted a science project in the 27th Children's Science Conference organized by Tamil Nadu Science Congress and won second place. She received Arivu Sudar Gandhi Award in 2020 from Thai Ullam Arakattalai, Hosur, jointly Rich Media and JCI Hosur Shipcot. Hearty congratulations, Mrs. V.T. Kavitha. Keep inspiring. Moving on to our next author, Mrs. P.R. Kalyani. The name of her book is Just Be Flashes. And the next book is Glimpses, Poetry Book Reviews. This book is a collection of poems presented for creative writers. She used to contribute her poems regularly for the given topic in the year 2020 and 2021. From that collections, 156 poems were printed and published as a book. And if you talk about the next book, Glimpses, it is a collection of book reviews of creative writers groups, first 25 books. Thank you, Mrs. Kalyani. It's a wonderful contribution to creative writers. A few words about Mrs. P.R. Kalyani. Mrs. Kalyani Ravikumar, working as a graduate math teacher. She writes poems in English and in Tamil. She has contributed articles for the e-magazine Namaste India. Her poems were published in Creative Writers 4 anthologies by Mrs. Brinda. And she has also contributed a poem for an international anthology by Dr. Brajesh Gupta. Besides writing poems, she has edited a few anthologies. She is doing reviews and encouraging budding poets. Apart from teaching, writing gives her some pleasure. It is so nice to hear Mrs. Kalyani. Now let's see our next author, Mrs. Y. Princilin Joan. The name of the book is West Wind, Melodies on the Meadows. About the book, to wither the negativity, the west wind sprouts the positivity and brings springs into your life. The sad and obnoxious things go away from your way. A cool and fresh breeze starts blowing from the bay. Windy verses wipe away the autumn. Sing, sing these melodies on the enchanting soft meadows. A few words about Mrs. Y. Princilin Joan. Mrs. Y. Princilin Joan, M.A. B.Ed, has been working as a BT assistant teacher English at PUMS, Puliyamangalam, Arakonam block in Ranipet district. She has 23 years of teaching experience. She is a passionate reader and writer. She has written more than 1,000 poems both in English and Tamil. With the guidance of Mrs. Brinda, recently she published her book Shadows of Silence, which is a collection of her best 100 poems. Fantastic to hear about you, Mrs. Princilin Joan. Moving on to our next author, Mrs. Ezhilarasi. The name of her book is Psalms of My Soul. Psalms of My Soul is a book of 100 poems with a simple style and rich in thoughts. Seeds of aesthetic sense have been sown in all the poems: humanity, friendship, and other choice of themes. They are highly appreciated. Top priority has been given to the readers of choice of rhyming words with poetic sense. It is sure that this book will be suitable for all ages to read and enjoy. A few words about Mrs. R. Ezhilarasi. Mrs. Ezhilarasi is working as BT assistant English teacher in Government Girls Higher Secondary School, Arakonam. She has 22 years of teaching experience. She is a passionate reader and a writer. She has written more than 200 poems. One of her poems was published in the anthology Glitters of Creative Writers. She was awarded Seer Migu Teachers Award in the year 2010. She is the counselor for the Junior Red Cross movement in her school. It's a very delighting moment to hear about you. We'll see the remaining authors in the next episode. Do not miss to watch the other episodes and also be a part of Creative Writers Group. Keep penning, keep shining, keep encouraging. Welcome to Creative Writers. Thank you.